Lauren is a 27-year-old woman with long blonde hair. She studies law, has a boyfriend, and has big plans for the future. However, in June 2011, a great commotion breaks out on the campus of Mercer University in Georgia, where Lauren studies. Student Lauren Giddings has vanished without a trace, and the atmosphere is tense. Her friends and classmates search the campus for clues while the police organize a large-scale operation. Numerous journalists are also on site to report on the latest developments. Lauren's disappearance dominates the news and attracts media attention. They continuously inform the public about the search efforts and show great interest in learning more about the missing student and the ongoing investigations. A team from a local television station interviews a classmate named Stephen about the events.
Person that was living there?
Yeah, Lauren was my neighbor. We're just trying to find out where she is at this point. I mean, no one has seen her since Saturday. I mean, the last time anyone heard from her was an email that she sent out, and no one's heard from her since. Yeah, Lauren was my neighbor. Yeah, Lauren was my neighbor.
At this point, no one suspects that the phrase "Lauren was my neighbor" holds a deeper meaning. Why did he say "was" instead of "is"? In fact, he already gave himself away, revealing that he knows Lauren will never return. At that time, Stephen didn't know that the police had already found the body. Stephen presents himself as a concerned friend, expressing his worry about Lauren's disappearance. But no one suspects that Stephen knows exactly what happened to Lauren. He is responsible for her disappearance and is trying to deceive the reporter. When the reporter mentions that a body has been found, although its identity is still unclear, the fear in Stephen's eyes becomes clearly visible. It was only during the interview with the reporter that he learned Lauren had been found. How these events unfolded will be revealed in today's video. Lauren Giddings, born on April 18, 1984, was a devoted member of St. Mary of the Mills Catholic Church and attended St. Mary's School from kindergarten through 8th grade. In 2002, she graduated from Atholton High School in Columbia, where she actively participated in both field hockey and softball. She later moved to Georgia to attend Agnes Scott College, where she graduated in 2006 with a major in political science and a minor in religious studies, all while continuing to play softball. After completing her undergraduate studies, she returned home to work for the National Center for Public Policy in Washington, D.C., before deciding to pursue a legal career. In 2008, Lauren began her law studies at Mercer University's Walter F. George School of Law. By 2011, at age 27, she was living in an apartment complex near the campus, like many of her fellow law students. Her boyfriend David, nearly 10 years her senior and a practicing lawyer, was planning to propose. The couple had met during Lauren's internship at his law firm and had been together for over 4 years. Lauren planned to move to Atlanta after her graduation to start a life with David. David felt it was the perfect time to propose, with only her final exam standing between them and a bright future together. Yet an unforeseen individual would soon disrupt all of these plans. At the end of June, Lauren's family suddenly could no longer reach her. Her friends and classmates hadn't seen her for several days either. Concerned, Lauren's brother sent a text message to her boyfriend David to ask if he had heard from her. However, David had also received no message from her. Initially, he wasn't too worried, knowing that Lauren had been very busy. In the days leading up to her exams, she had been deeply focused on studying to ensure good results. David had already anticipated not hearing from her until after the exams were over, and Lauren had even told her friends that she would be withdrawing and not contacting anyone during this period. However, when Lauren's brother informed David that no one from her close circle had heard from her, David's alarm bells started ringing. He checked his phone for the last message from Lauren, which had arrived on June 25th. 5 days earlier, David had only skimmed through the first sentences of the message and then ignored and forgotten about it. Now he realized this might have been her last sign of life. In the message, Lauren mentioned that she had just had an unpleasant conversation. When David first read this, He thought it was just a trivial interaction, but now he sensed there was more to it. Lauren mentioned a classmate who had been uncomfortably asking her questions about David. Almost in passing, she also mentioned that someone had tried to break into her apartment a few nights earlier, and she suspected it was just some local kids. However, in light of her disappearance, this remark seemed far more alarming. Lauren's family notified the police, who searched her apartment. Some valuable jewelry David had gifted her on special occasions was missing, yet her purse, phone, and wallet were still in place. These circumstances deepened the Giddings family's terrible suspicion. It didn't appear that Lauren had left voluntarily. The police interviewed all the residents on campus, and everyone agreed to let them search their apartments, except for one person, Stephen McDaniel. Like Lauren, he was also a law student, preparing for his exams, but he refused to let the police search his apartment. As a future lawyer, he said he felt uncomfortable with it, instead choosing to watch the unfolding events on campus. A day later, Lauren's torso is found, separated from the rest of her body. It's discovered in a trash bin near her apartment complex. On this same day, Stephen McDaniel is interviewed by a local TV station, the scene you saw in the intro. However, the police do not publicly confirm the identity of the body, leaving the question of the parking lot unanswered. As Stephen talks about Lauren and her condition in the interviews, he becomes increasingly nervous. Stephen is described as a rather withdrawn loner. Although he is registered on a dating platform, he has little interaction and insists that he doesn't care about it. He claims to want to wait until marriage for any sexual relationships, citing his strict Christian beliefs as the reason. Lauren had often mentioned to David that she found Stephen to be an antisocial and strange neighbor. She wasn't the only one with that opinion. Other students also found it odd that Stephen was helping search for Lauren, given that he usually stayed inside his apartment alone. The police review Stephen's interview, and his strange reactions raise suspicions, prompting them to bring him in for questioning. During the interrogation, Stephen remains mostly silent, which makes the investigators more suspicious. He provides few answers, and when reviewing the interview, it's clear that he's deliberately withholding information. As a law student, he likely knows exactly how to respond in a way that minimizes what could be used against him in court. When the police ask about a scratch they notice on him, Stephen claims he scratched himself in his sleep. Throughout the entire interrogation, Stephen insists he had nothing to do with Lauren's murder. He also reiterates his religious stance against engaging in sexual relationships before marriage. The investigators search his apartment, both with and without his consent. During the search, they find a pack of condoms, leading them to question why he would have them. Stephen responds by saying he stole them from a classmate. This bizarre answer leads to his arrest for theft, giving the police more time to solidify their suspicions of murder. However, this excuse seems contradictory, considering he had already claimed he wanted to abstain from sex due to his religious beliefs. The investigators not only gather more information about Stephen from people in Lauren's circle, but also from his former roommate, who provides valuable insights. He reveals that Stephen frequently spoke about power and often gave the impression that he believed himself to be smarter than everyone else. These unusual behaviors raise suspicions among the investigators. A deeper dive into Stephen's computer and internet history eventually exposes his true nature. In numerous posts, he expresses a deep hatred for women and openly writes about his desire to inflict pain on them. It becomes evident that Stephen had been obsessively stalking Lauren. Documents reveal that he kept detailed notes on his classmates, and disturbing photos and videos of Lauren in her apartment, taken through her windows, are discovered. A strange drawing hangs on the mirror in Stephen's bathroom, bearing the words, "I love you, Lauren." He claims that the drawing was made by his young niece, though whether this is true or a reflection of his own unsettling thoughts remains unclear. The most damning piece of evidence linking Stephen to the crime, however, is a key to Lauren's apartment found in his possession. It turns out to be a master key, something no ordinary student should have had access to. 1 month after Lauren Giddings' body is discovered, Stephen McDaniel is formally charged with the 27-year-old's murder. As previously mentioned, Stephen supposedly considered himself smarter than everyone else, which likely led him to believe that the police wouldn't be able to prove anything against him. It wasn't until 3 years later that Stephen McDaniel confessed to Lauren's murder. He claimed that following their awkward conversation, he gained access to her apartment the next day. Wearing a mask and gloves to avoid leaving any evidence, he killed Lauren in her bedroom. He then returned the following day, dismembering her body with a hacksaw, which explains why only Lauren's torso was found in the trash. The remaining body parts were later discovered in other dumpsters around the campus. The hacksaw was indeed recovered as evidence. Stephen was sentenced to life in prison for the murder. To this day, his mother and other relatives continue to believe in his innocence, convinced that the police planted evidence in his apartment to quickly hold him accountable for Lauren's death. However, there is no substantial proof to support these claims. About 2 years after Lauren Giddings' murder, a memorial is dedicated to her. A bench is placed in the park where she liked to take walks between her classes, honoring her memory. This curvaceous metal bench is painted in Lauren's favorite color, a vibrant pink. The spot where Lauren once found peace in her favorite park is now a place for others to relax and remember her. And with that, we've reached the end of today's video. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to leave a like, a comment, or subscribe to the channel. It really helps us out a lot. Also, don't forget to hit the notification bell so you won't miss any new videos. Thanks in advance for your support.